Tippity top of the Wednesday morning, 7:22. All morning long. Right here, winning in the morning. Yeah, it's game time. That's right, you got 48 seconds. Share it. Help somebody. Focus. We're stopping our distractions today. That's what we're doing. We're just gonna stop the distractions. That's all there is to it. That's exactly what's happening. Indeed. Yes, indeed. It is time to get winning this morning. Gavin Stalls on YouTube. Oh, buddy. Hello. Top of the morning. Good to see you on YouTube. And to our Facebook viewers. Hello, Instagram. Good to see you as well. Listen, we're getting after it today. Stopping our distractions. You know why? It's because distractions take our time away from what we should be doing. I don't know if you know that, but literally they do. If you haven't done it yet, first, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, go ahead and do this little guy right there. Subscribe, hit the bell, like before we dive into, helping you today. Mike Hoffman, hello. Happy 23rd day of March of the 2022nd year of our Lord, right here. Winning in the morning. If you haven't subscribed yet, shared, liked, or followed, well, you should. You should, because this morning you're going to help somebody with this little message right here, right now. Also, last thing, if you haven't done this little piece, join us right here, winning in the morning. If you want to help somebody, one of your friends, anybody else, literally you can text winning right now, 405-645-7789, to be able to help them be more effective by getting the notifications of what's going on each and every day. Right here, you can do it because, today as we dive into probably something that is most applicable to me, maybe it's just me. Most likely it probably is. It very well could be just me. But I think it's more than just me on this. Do you find yourself being distracted? Do you find yourself getting kind of sucked away into what you don't want to be focusing on, but you end up focusing on it even when you don't want to be focusing on it? And then you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, I spent way too much time doing that when I should have been doing something else instead. Yeah, that happens to all of us. Not only does it happen to all of us, frankly, it happens way too often that we have time that we set aside. And this is why today we're talking 3 simple steps to be able to keep yourself from getting distracted. 3 simple steps. It's not over the top. It's not too much. It's just enough to get you focused today. In case you don't know, there's a little bit of an echo today. There is. You know why? Because the Jordan Ranchero, the Jordan household, we're moving. All the sound panels, gone. It's literally an empty studio right now. Completely. Isn't it? Yeah, Dave agrees. It totally is. As we talk about stop getting distracted, right there, boom, got distracted. Just literally by what I was hearing from the outside, from the echo of this empty chamber, this echo chamber of my thoughts this morning with you. It's so easy to find yourself in a place literally where we are getting off of the task at hand each and every morning, each and every moment. I don't know if this is anything like you, but I get focused on my list of things that I want to do. I get focused on my priorities of what I want to do. And then before I know, squirrel. Or somebody texts. Or somebody calls. Or you get an email. Good morning, Tyler Welsh. Good to see you. Hello. All of our friends right here on YouTube. Boom. Gavin, good to see you. Boom. Mike, hello. Tylee, so good to see you as well. See, got distracted again. It's so easy to be able to do it. And this is why it's so incredibly important. I was listening to this podcast yesterday. And one of the things the podcast was talking about is wasted time. You know what I mean? Like wasted time. Where specifically we have moments where we could be focusing on something, but actually we don't, and we get ourselves taken off the topic of what we should be connecting with, talking about, focusing on. How much time is actually wasted during your day when you stop focusing on what it is that you needed to accomplish? Again, here at the Winning Network, we're helping people crush their goals, ignite their dreams, forge a legacy in their life, get after the things they want to do, be more effective than you've ever been effective in your life. In order to be effective, you got to be able to stay on the task at hand, my friend. Yeah, you can't constantly just be getting sidetracked with something, whatever is, the shiny thing of the day. And sometimes we joke about it and be like, oh man, it doesn't take much to get me distracted, squirrel. But actually, that is a huge detractor from you and your effectiveness and what it is that you want to be accomplishing on a day-to-day basis. It literally is. In fact, it can take you up to 20 minutes to get yourself refocused on an area, on your goals that are going to take you to what success looks like in your life, going after your passions with a purpose to connect you to that fulfillment in your life. It can take, as you're working on those goals, as you're focusing on something maybe at work, as you're focusing on maybe developing yourself, how easy it is to get distracted by the kids need something. You get a phone call, you get a text message, you get an email. Your mind goes, as you're working on something, literally your mind goes to, oh my gosh, did I shut off the water? Oh my gosh, did I make sure the stove was off? And we get distracted with these things. Now, again, obviously, it's if it's a critical thing, it's important to stay focused on the things of safety. Yeah, it is. However, no, there's no however. Focus on the safety things. But so many times we allow ourselves to go tangential to what it is that we should be focusing on. And the thing we don't realize is how much time it actually takes us to get focused back on our topic area. In fact, again, this podcast I was listening to yesterday specifically was talking about, and it can not only can it take us 20 minutes to get refocused on what it is on our task at hand, but this happens multiple times a day. So if you are working on something and you get distracted for 5 minutes, it can take you up to 20 minutes to get back into the flow of thought, the intentional, just like all focused in, really the brain cells really clicking away on what you're doing and how you're doing it and what you're focusing on. It can literally take up to 20 minutes. If this happens 3 or 4 times a day, we can be wasting upwards of an hour, 2, 3 hours of our time, of our development time, of accomplishing what we want to be accomplishing. We can literally be wasting that much time by simply allowing things to distract us and allowing things to get us focused off topic and allowing these things to be able to get us away from what we should be doing, which is really, really, really challenging. If you are going to be 100% honest with yourself right now, I just want you to ask yourself this. Coral said, I do this every day. Coral, you're not alone. We do this too. We do. It's so easy to get distracted. It is so easy to get distracted. But there's 3 simple steps I want to help you with today as you dive into your midway through the week. It's March 23rd of 2022. Your chance right now, today, this is the best day, the best moment you have ever had to get yourself realigned, refocused, and re-engaged. Ooh, I should write that down. Realigned, refocused. That's really good. You've never had more of a chance to hone in on one major step of growth right now than you have today. This is your moment. This is your chance. This is your opportunity to continue driving forward towards what your goal is and what your passion is and what your purpose is. This is your chance to be able to do it. Glenn, good morning. Top of the morning to you, my friend. Hello. Thanks for joining Winning in the Morning. This is your chance. You've never had a day like today. Today, one and only, one in a million days. But if we don't take the time to focus in and not get distracted from the things that are going to enable us to be able to do, to grow, to hone in, If we don't take those moments, these opportunities, we will miss them. And not only will we miss them, but the thing about missing these opportunities to stay focused and to gain momentum, the thing that's really sad about that is that we are constantly, consistently wasting time and slowing ourselves down because, now listen to this, because we are not being intentional with our development, and because we're not being intentional with honing in on how specifically we are going to accomplish our goals each and every day. I know that seems so incredibly simple. So incredibly simple. However, it really, really goes back to something we talked about yesterday. I'm going to throw this up here real quick. You see this? Here it is. Remember this equation we talked about Monday. Influence equals time times relationship. Yes. Specifically, we weren't talking about distractions, but it's amazing to me how this applies directly to distractions and how we can get ourselves off of topic. The things that have influence in our life are the things that we give our most time to and the relationship that we have with it. One of the things that was really interesting about this podcast I was listening to was it said that most of the time, the things that distract us are not something, it's not a task, it's not a widget, it's not an idea. It's actually something that's more driven by emotion than it is driven by necessity. And emotion is something that we can have a relationship, a connection to. It really is. If you think about this, distractions can actually have things that seem simply are seemingly simple, can have influence in our lives. Things like social media. I know you're watching this on social media, Facebook, YouTube. Hopefully this is not a distraction, but this has been something that's intentional and influence in your life, literally watching this today. But distractions can literally have an influence in our life if we are allowing them to happen often, the frequency, and the amount of time we allow those distractions to pull us away from our intentional, productive focus. In fact, distractions can become such an influence that it becomes the majority of what we do if we're not careful and we don't realize it and if we don't guard against it. How is that? How do we change this mindset? How do we change this structure of what this is? Well, here's step indicator problem number 1. I'm going to throw it up there. This is what the podcast specifically said. Is one of the reasons why that we don't. One of the reasons why we don't allow ourselves to focus in and we actually get distracted is super simple. You don't give yourself enough time to accomplish what you have on your list. I am guilty of this all the time. All the time. I'll actually mark something down as like a 30-minute meeting. I will. And it always, inherently, it normally takes like way longer than that. Step 1, you don't give yourself enough time. If you mark something down, for example, a 30-minute meeting, it's always between me and whoever I'm talking to. It's probably not going to be 30 minutes. It's probably going to be 45 minutes. And I like the idea of telling myself I can have a 30-minute meeting, but the reality is it never works that way. It's like 10 minutes of catching up. Hey, how's your day going? Whatever it is. If you do anything outside of that, of the niceties when you begin a conversation, especially if you haven't talked to them in a while, then you just kind of come across rude. 10 minutes of the 30-minute meeting is not even focused on anything to do with the topic that why we're talking to begin with. That leaves 20 minutes left to be able to dive into the content and 5 minutes to close up if you're not trying to rush away. I know I'm talking about a 30-minute meeting. Why does this matter? Is because most of the time for me, if I know that it's not going to be a 30-minute meeting and any conversation is probably going to be at least 30 or 40 minutes, anything of deep intentionality of trying to bring something to solution, if I schedule it for 30 minutes, then I'm literally getting distracted throughout my day by not giving myself enough time to truly focus on what I need to do. I always found myself being cut short of how long something was actually going to take me. Most of the time when I'm doing production stuff, whether I'm making these background screens or whether I'm doing thumbnails or whatever for videos or production, or whether I'm doing work stuff or whether I'm doing family stuff, I carve out a chunk of time because I'm idealistic about how long it's actually going to take me, but I am unrealistic with how long it actually takes me. I'm idealistic with how long it'll take me, and I'm unrealistic with how long it actually takes me. This causes you literally in the middle of whatever you're doing. If you do not give yourself enough time to be able to do something, you become distracted with realizing that you are over the timeline with how long you've given yourself. And if you don't give yourself enough time, you distract yourself with feeling as though you need to move on to the next thing. But if you carve out an hour and a half for whatever it is that you need to do, an hour and a half for your ability to get done a 45-minute task, you literally get time back in your day. And it also allows you to not have that pressure of feeling like you have to get it done and you have to move on to the next thing. How much time are you actually giving yourself to accomplish the things that you have listed as important on your day? If you've listed it as important on your day, that you need to accomplish it, it's one of your big 3 things, then it should be important enough to get a large portion of your day. Side note, I'm going to go slightly tangential just for a second. You know, there was a message by my pastor this last week, actually 2 weeks ago, where he was talking about the importance specifically of, oh my gosh, I'm somehow streaming myself right now, the importance of the first fruits or tithe. And I know everybody goes, oh my gosh, Kinsley, you're talking about money. You're just... No. I'm talking about giving your first fruits, giving 10% of what you have, of what is valuable to you, to your creator, if you so believe. And one of the things that really stuck out to me is if I'm truly giving 10% of my time, that's 2.4 hours. That means I'm intentionally spending 2.4 hours with my relationship with my Savior. 2.4 hours every single day is the first fruits, is the first priority of what I'm doing in my life. Here's a really hard question. Are you spending, if you do believe in that, if you have the same belief I do, if you don't, I'll talk to that in a second. If you have the same belief I have, and you are a believer in Christ and you want to spend that time, 10% of the time of our first fruits is 2.4 hours. Now, I know you can say, dude, 2.4 hours, Kinsley, that's a lot of time. However, I ask you for this reason. It's not a lot of time if it truly is your priority, because we will make time for the things that we sense and believe are a priority. And if you don't believe that that's the case, just look at what you spend the majority of your time on. If what you spend the majority of your time on is a bunch of just putting out fires, then you have made nothing a priority, unless thus everything has become a priority. When you don't have any intentionality to what you're doing and you don't have a list of what you need to get done the day before. Actually, somebody that I was talking to a couple weeks ago, one of our future coaches of the Winning Network, was actually asking specifically, hey, do you write down your day list the night before? Do you do it the morning of? And my answer was, I always do it the night before, because then I have intentionality. I know that I'm getting up and I'm doing this. I'm getting up at this time. I'm accomplishing this. In fact, I've been way more consistent in my life with my morning routine and what I accomplish in the morning, because I write it down. I've been way more effective and been able to accomplish so much more. So if you're wanting to be able to take one major step and being more effective and less distracted, step number 1 is first, you don't give yourself, it's right here, bing, bing, you don't give yourself enough time to accomplish the things that you have written out. This is based on the assumption that you actually write out the things that you need to accomplish the next day. So I guess like this would be like point, it's not number 1, it's like point half. we'll say that as like point half. If you're not writing down what you need to accomplish that day and what the next upcoming days, then you're not making it a priority, and it's probably not going to get done, because it's going to be on the back of your mind, and it's always going to be a tomorrow thing. So foundational step, you need to start writing things down and having a list. I'm not projecting upon you. I'm not telling you what you need to do, but you should definitely do it, because it will help you be more effective. Point number 2, give yourself more time than you think you're going to need, because whatever it is probably going to take you longer to do that than you think it's going to take you to do that. So carve out a good amount of time to be able to focus on those things that you need to prioritize and what you want to do, what you need to accomplish. during those times and during those focus areas. Okay, the second thing I kind of already hit on it. It was one of the foundational points. But as you focus on these tasks that you have, or the goals that you have of the things that you need to accomplish, as you focus in on these things, one of the things that oftentimes is missed is the reality of transitioning between these two, between your goals, your list. So, say for example, we've been moving our house to our new house over this last week. Actually, Brooke started packing like a month ago because she's always on it. And, Brooke is like a year ahead of me on her thought process most of the time. And I normally try to catch up. It's awesome to have an awesome spouse. So she started packing a while ago. Kinsley eventually caught up. Again, talking about Kinsley in third person. I eventually caught up to what was going on. And in this process of packing and moving and hauling things over, in my mind, I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be great. I'm going to multitask. We know how I don't know if you watched that episode. Multitasking does not work. Deborah Nelson, hello, top of the morning. Deborah Nelson says, I 100% agree. Deborah, I'm sorry. I don't know when you said that, but I agree that you agree. I missed that comment. I'm so sorry. Thanks. Thank you for agreeing. But anyway, as I've been going through, we've been moving, getting things prepared, getting things ready for the move. One of the things that I realized I was doing is between the moves, from packing up, having the trailer, hauling it over to the new house, and getting ready to go over there, I thought in my mind, oh man, this is great. I'm going to multitask. I'm just going to call this person real fast. You know what? I have a sound effect for how effective this was. Are you ready for this? Here we go. Whoa, that wasn't it. Here it is. That's how effective my multitasking was. You know why? Because you can't multitask. You can focus on one thing at a time. I was not able to multitask. So from the time it took me, it was like a 6-minute drive to our new house. From the time it took me to leave here with the trailer to get there, if previously, remember what I said earlier, it takes about 5, maybe 10 minutes before you really get into a conversation as you're catching up with somebody. If it took 6 minutes to get there, this is basic public math, which nobody likes, especially pilots. We don't like public math. But if it normally takes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes to get into the conversation, and my drive takes 6 minutes to get to the new house, and I have people helping to unload, how effective do you think that was? I'll tell you, it wasn't. You know why? Because by the time we got there, we were just getting into the conversation with the person that I tried to call with multitasking. And we just pulled into the drive, and people needed me to be able to tell them where to put stuff and things to go. So then I was like, oh man, oh gosh, sorry, we just got here. Oh man, we got tied up. I'll have to give you a call back. And then there was one more thing left undone. You know what would have been more effective? I'm just telling you from my lessons learned. Don't try to do another focus area. If you have a phone call, it's important enough to schedule that in and give yourself enough time so you can actually focus on the thing and task at hand, instead of getting distracted with something you feel like you should be doing another time. That piece is exactly what this other portion is, which I think is really important. Oh no, I just deleted my lower third. That's okay. I'll tell you what the second one was. It's called liminal moments. Liminal moments are these moments of the story that I just told you about transition. When you're transitioning from one thing to the next, when one focus area to the next, not transition of what 2020 means. I'm talking not 2020 type transition. I'm talking about moving from one task to the next task, or one focus area to the next focus area. There is, sister. Oh, that's my nephew, Minnie Turner. Hello. I love starting my day listening to you. Oh, Jordan, AJ. Tell my nephew hello. He's awesome. Tell Jordan hi. When you're transitioning from one focus area, something that's written down on your goal list, to the next one, don't fill that space with something that is going to keep you from getting to the place that you need to be. For example, exactly like I was just talking about. I was moving. We're hauling stuff. In the middle of hauling things, it's not smart to try to do something else that you know is going to take more time to accomplish it. Those liminal periods, those transitional times from one event to the next, from one meeting to the next, from one priority to the next thing. You've heard this said many times before. However, it is really, really, really important. Whatever is important enough to have your attention at that time is worth having your full attention. This is where we see people distracted all the time. And this is honestly because in the age that we live in, the time that we live in, it's easy to constantly have this thing in your hand all the time. Admittedly, my kids, admittedly, I didn't realize how much I would try to send a quick email or how much that I would be doing work on my phone until my kids started saying, "Dad, are you on the phone again?" And that is like I hate it. I hate it. I absolutely hate it when my kids say that. You know why? Is because they notice it so much that it has become a recognized part of their life with me. I don't want to be remembered with having this in my hand all the time as their father. No, those are the memories you want. You want the kids to remember the great goofy things and the wonderful things you did. So I started realizing that in my efforts to be so effective in the time that I had in these transitional laminal periods, I was actually being distracted by my own self. I was actually creating more of a distraction instead of honing in and just focusing on the things that I need to focus on. So point number 2, even though somehow I deleted my lower thirds, is this very simple. If you want to, and if you are trying to, maybe I can throw it up here. Here it is. Yep, I'm going to do it. I'm going to throw it up here for you. Don't, just so you can see it. Don't waste transition periods. There you go. Now you have it. Ta-da. Don't waste transition periods. Don't waste points and times where you are moving from one thing to the next. Don't focus on multiple things at once. Literally, focus on what you have listed out on your list. Get it done and move on to the next thing. Those are the really, really critical, important pieces. Remember, at the very beginning of this, I told you, it can take up to 20 minutes of your valuable time to get refocused on what it is that you're doing. 20 minutes. So if you waste these transitional moments, this laminal time, if you waste that and you get sidetracked on something else, my friend, it is going to take you more time to get refocused on what you're trying to do than it would be if you had just not allowed yourself to get distracted in the first place. Lesson learned, stay focused, stay task on hand, and don't allow other things to distract you. I know it's easy to say, but this brings us to the third point, is that the third point was, I thought was really, really, really important because, I didn't realize this was the case, but it actually was on this podcast I was listening to. He said that things that distract us most of the time, and maybe I'd mentioned this before, but if I hadn't, coming back to it, the third point is, it is things that we feel emotionally are the things that drive us most of the time to our distractions. For example, if we're feeling rushed to be able to move on to the next thing on our list, this is a feeling and emotion that's being driven to us that literally drives our behavior to follow. If you're late to an appointment, you have this urgency. You're like, oh my gosh, I got to get this done. I got to get there. I got to get on a call, or I'm just going to call them and let them know. And that literally distracts you more from getting to your appointment on time. These things that distract us oftentimes are actually just emotions that we're feeling for whatever reason. And this third point was identifying what emotions are driving you to distractions. I'm throwing this up there for you as well. What emotions are driving your distractions? Now, I know several times we talk about this, and we talk about emotions, and we talk about distractions, and we talk about all of this stuff. We talk about all of these things, and I know a lot of times some of the guys that join us each and every morning have and message back later after they listen to this have said, dude, you talk a lot about emotions. I mean, you really this is a lot more emotional speak as I'm used to, because I thought this was just going to be encouragement. Well, here's the deal. Like, the reality is, the truth of the matter is that we are emotional beings. We have a mind, will, and our emotions. And those things make a huge difference. Those things literally drive how we live our lives. Is our mind has these thoughts that we create and we give place to. Our mind also drives our will. When we have these thoughts in our mind, it actually drives our behavior and our thought process and our thought patterns, which in turn have emotions that come out of that. So our mind, our will, and emotions, all of these things connected together, emotions are what we see as basically the product of what is happening in our will, which is driven by our mind, the thoughts that we have in our mind. So there are a lot of these pieces that, they do seem emotional. They do. It does come across as sometimes a very fluffy a fluffy topic, but the fact is that there's nothing fluffy about it. It's actually very factual. It's very hard driven, that there are a lot of these processes of how effective we are, of what we put our hand to, and staying focused with the task on hand is actually more so driven out of the things that we are feeling and what we're doing because of those feelings, and what we're doing because of those emotions. So this point of what it talks about, of saying, hey, what is it that actually drives you to distractions? Is it because that you are not having connectivity? One of the points specifically was talking about, oftentimes people go to social media, they pick it up, they scroll through because they need a hit of motivation, or they need connection in some capacity. Did you realize this is one of the driving factors? And this is why Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all of these things, maybe not YouTube, but Facebook and Instagram, these social media, this is why they've been asked to be at congressional hearings and to talk to Congress, is because Congress, the government in the United States, has started asking questions. Listen, it seems as though that you have literally intentionally programmed from the very beginning for people to become addicted to scrolling through. Is that true? There was also this phenomenal Netflix series that recently came out. I can't remember the name of it, but it talks specifically to the addictive nature of social media and scrolling through social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of these things. I can't remember the name of what it was. I'm pretty sure it was on Netflix. But the focus of it is that because it drives in on these dopamine hits, literally a releasing of chemical. This is one of the things that's really interesting about music and songs that just pull you into. You're like, oh man, I love this beat. When you really connect to something, there are certain things that create these dopamine hits. And these dopamine hits are the same thing that they're very connected to, like addictive type activities, that it literally releases something in our brain. Whether some people say, I'm an adrenaline junkie. Well, actually, it's dopamine. They're getting hits of this chemical. Your body's releasing dopamine into your body, and it gives you this kind of excitement, this feeling. It's different than adrenaline, but it is a chemical that your body produces all the same, and it's out of a reaction that takes place because of something that excites you and pulls you in. Social media does this. So Congress specifically has been asking questions. Are you intentionally targeting people to get them addicted to social media? One of the other things they're asking specifically for younger kids, are you targeting younger kids and trying to get them addicted to this? Because an addiction, whether it's alcohol or whether it's social media, is an addiction all the way. It's something that starts grabbing hold of you. So when you look at these things, these things that distract you most of the time, looking at the fact of what is the motion that is driving, or what is the cause? What is the reason why I keep on going back to social media? Is it because I just want to have a contact point with somebody? Is it because I want to catch up with somebody? If that's the case, wouldn't it make more sense to actually identify the people that you want to catch up with, or identify the type of news that you want to get, and then put it on your calendar or put it on your schedule to actually connect with those people in a real way, not in a fictitious way of social media, not in a fictitious way of just reading somebody's posts. Again, it goes back to that real connective tissue, that real connective drive of how is it that we actually get ourselves focused on the things that are worthy of our time and worthy of our focus. So today, as we're talking about getting ourselves from a place of being distracted, out of being distracted and focused on the things that we want to be doing and we need to be doing, this is something that we need to focus in on. I'm telling you, you only have one resource today at your hand that literally no one can ever give you again except God Almighty himself: time. You will never get more of it, no matter how hard you work. Oh man, you ready for this? Listen, I'm about to preach myself silly right now. Camera angle change. No matter what you do, there is nothing you can do to get more time back in your schedule. So wouldn't it make sense to be effective with the time that you have been given, because you'll never get more of it? Yeah. So this is why we're talking about stopping getting distracted, because when you get distracted, it literally takes you away. It takes you away from what you want to be doing in the only time that you have been given. There's only 24 hours in a day. You can't make 25. You can't cut it short to 23. There's only 7 days a week. You can't make 8. You can't cut it down to 6. Use your time wisely. In order to use your time wisely, we got to stop the distractions and start focusing in on what it is that you want to accomplish in the time that you've been given here on this earth on a day just like today. March 23rd, 2022, meine Schwester says, yes, yes, yes. Social media in reference to. It also is driving anxiety and depression rates through the roof. You know what's interesting? Little parting shot here. I love going to the counselor. Kathy and I have an awesome relationship. We talk through a lot of things. Some things I didn't even know I needed to talk through. But this is one of the things that has come up. Counseling rates, the necessity for counselors has hit an all-time high. Almost every counselor that I've talked to, whether they've been, the counselor I go to or somebody else, has said they have a waiting list, and it is very difficult for people to get on. Why? It's not ironic that the rate of social media usage, as the rate of social media usage has gone up, so has the rate of counseling appointments and people needing to talk because of these social anxieties and depression that's taking place and this comparison syndrome all the time. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. You are not somebody else. You are the greatest version of you that has ever existed. And if you don't like the you that you see in the mirror, then let's get fixing it. That's what we do. We get winning in the morning. So do yourself a favor. Share this, subscribe, like, hit the bell, hit the follow, whatever you got to do from wherever you're watching this from. And get yourself moving in the right direction. Today, right now, share it with somebody. Help somebody out, because today we're stopping being distracted. There's no reason for it. Remember those 3 things? Go back and watch it. My friends, I can't wait to see you again on Friday. The Jordan move is going to be complete. House closing today. Thank the Lord. That is almost over. Okay, get winning this morning. Love you guys. Can't wait to see you on Friday. Stay encouraged. Don't be distracted. And I challenge you, share this with somebody who needs it today. Just stay focused. Don't get distracted. Love y'all. See you later.